Both of you, first of all, thank you very much for playing. The games are very fun to watch. Are we all here?
Yep, everybody's here.
Like, am I talking to myself? I heard you, Threx, don't worry.
Okay. Okay, good.
Well, I guess I'll just continue assuming that they are. First off, let me please go ahead and shout out or give advertising to anything you want, including other streams, your own stuff, whatever. And if you so desire. Hello? I have a feeling I'm looking at two AFK people or two people who have their mics on mute. And I'm not sure which one it is.
It's okay.
Well, I guess we can keep killing time until they say something.
So,
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. My mic was muted.
Yay! I felt real weird. I was like, am I? Is there anyone there?
Hey, you weren't the one talking to yourself.
It's
or,
okay.
I guess, to the handful of owl picture on the screen.
Yes, true enough. Well then, since we received confirmation that you're here, I still don't know where Zrqkyvx is. Go ahead. Do you have anything you would like to shout out to?
Yeah, I guess a shout out to a couple people have been helping me learn to be a better bug as of recent, even though I feel like I took absolutely none of that advice whatsoever in this match, and any that I did, I just could not do today. Ugh.
Okay. I gotta say there were some signs of it. I mean, as actually Threx was saying earlier, it looked from a basic mechanical level, injects in particular, very, very solid.
yeah, you just as a Zerg player, you got to be really, really careful where you're rallying your army as it's produced. That's the only thing.
There was that. Zrq, you there?
Yes.
Yay!
There he is.
Good.
Yay.
Both here. Now, as I was saying, anything you want to shout out to?
Shout out to Ottr, I guess, for playing, and I would plug my own Twitter, but I can't spell it. I can't pronounce it, so.
Oh, you can't pronounce it either. Funny that. All right. Yeah, sure. I'll throw a link to it out there. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the games. First of all, I'd like to actually get some insight from you guys on the map vetoes that you picked up. What maps were you guys trying to get out of the map pool, and were you happy with the results that you ended up with? So, I don't know if you can remember that far back, obviously. The maps that we did end up using Overgrowth, King's Strong Station, and Nimbus, so the rest being Catalina, Merry-Go-Round, Deadwing, and Foxtrot Labs. I believe first veto was Zrq's, and that was Foxtrot Labs, so talk about that.
Basically, out of the whole veto process, all I wanted was Catalina.
All you wanted was Catalina. Unfortunate.
Yeah, that was the first veto.
I was gonna say, I understand that little comment you made at the beginning. Now you're just like,
I'm so sorry. I had to get rid of it, or I would stare at the squid the entire game.
Oh. Okay.
It's like Ottr seems to not be building anything, and then you go to like her camera view, and it's just centered on the squid like the entire game.
That's happened before. That is literally the only reason I did not pick that map. I actually like that map.
Oh, okay.
But no, I'll sit there and stare at the squid, octopus, whatever it is.
It's good time.
It's the dangers of fancy map features and from map creators.
I'm laughing so hard because when we got to King's John Station during the match, I like zoomed in on a set of crates that were covered by a tarp because I thought it was like infested, and I was really interested in it, like in the middle.
Yeah,
of the game.
completely threw off my commentary. I was like, so this is a lovely thing of boxes that we're taking a look at here, and you're just like, oh shoot.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one that does that.
No, anybody does. Actually, whenever these maps first come out, all the doodads on the map suddenly become incredibly fascinating, especially all the little holographic stuff or anything in like a tank that's floating around or looks Protossy. I have a tendency to stare at. Protoss is so fancy. Too fancy sometimes. I see why some people play with all the graphics all the way down, just like on purpose, even if their computers are better, just because you don't get distracted as much.
Exactly.
Except for Squid, can't change that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. So okay, we got some insight on that. So let's talk about the first game. This was played on Overgrowth. How much do you guys like this map? And talk a little bit about strategies you were picking up for it. Zrqkyvx, you go first.
Okay, I guess I tried something I've been trying for 3 months so far. So, 3 command center, but that doesn't quite work because there's no armory, and you have 3 command centers, so that's macro oriented. But there's no armory for upgrades, so you're pretty much all in, I think.
Okay. I was wondering about the SCV pool. It seemed a bit interesting, but just something I feel like you have to go for with that setup.
Yeah, I just didn't expect all those roaches right at my doorstep. Yeah.
Okay. What about from your perspective, Ottr?
I didn't expect all the tanks over there, but yeah, I'm just going roaches.
Yeah, it's an older style. It kind of hails back to the days of Wings of Liberty, but definitely effective against that kind of push. So yeah, thoughts on Overgrowth? We'll just keep the pattern the same, Zrqkyvx.
Luckily, Overgrowth is one of the maps I've actually seen before. And thank goodness we didn't get to Nimbus. I haven't got around to that. Or Dead Wing, or any of the other new maps other than Kalina. And as a Bronzy, I really don't think the map makes that much of a difference.
Well, fair enough. But that said...
Other than Kalina.
Well, I mean, comments I would accept, pretty much anything you think about it. So, like, even the design, if anything. But, yes. But that's fine. What about you, Ottr?
I think my only commentary on maps actually kind of goes for both of them, is I don't really like using things that don't fly on big maps, and I guess things that are on the ground for smaller maps and stuff, just because they get there quicker. They seem to, anyways.
Okay.
So.
It's good. That's a solid start to building your own strategies. Because you have to do what feels comfortable, and if you don't like the idea of going air on a small map, you shouldn't have to feel obligated to do so. So that's always, I like hearing that whenever there's people that have not necessarily been playing the game a long time, is when they're like, yeah, I do this because I find it makes me feel more comfortable. I love hearing that, because those are the kind of players that if they actually, if they put the time into it, or if they so desire to, can really, really go far. Because they play to what their comfort is, and you'll usually do better when you do that.
So, speaking of that, I guess the next comment, next thing I'd like you guys to comment on a little bit is King Sejong Station. With this game, had a little bit of a change in builds from Otter's perspective, so we'll start with her first. Decided to go Mutalisk this game. Is this something you particularly like to do on this map, given what you just said about its size? And are there any other elements that were in play in deciding to do that?
Pretty much the biggest element there, I guess, is I just don't like making ground things go hiking that whole map.
Fair enough. Okay, so Zrqkyvx, it seemed to me like a pretty key point in that match was actually the fact that the Reaper didn't die early on. Was able to stay alive and actually was able to pick up on the Spire.
Yeah, if that didn't pick up, I have to use so many scans. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, the defense was pretty well executed. Seemed like you were pretty. Actually, seemed like you were kind of used to dealing with it.
No, actually, I didn't know how to defend against mutas. Really, I threw up 2 turrets, but they seem to be going down really quickly. The turrets.
Right.
So
And I only thought that occurred with 3/3 mutas where they can snipe turrets. Well, not the case.
Nah, well, if you have enough of them, it's the same kind of DPS, frankly.
So
But
then you try to heal them, you try to repair them, but then you forget to send your SEVs back.
yes, that can happen too. And, all in all, it did seem to manage it fairly well. What do you think when you're going for that third base? What's going through your mind at that point? Because that obviously that's kind of when you're dealing with a flying unit. That's when it starts to really feel hard.
I'm supply blocked. I have a ton of money.
I guess it's time to
I
build a
have no
base.
gas. All of those contributed.
Well, that's a good reason, frankly speaking, in the middle of a game. Just kind of
Yeah.
like, oh crap, 4 digits, panic, spend money.
I don't do mech very often. I don't do mech at all, actually.
But,
So it was all trial and error.
it's all right. So yeah, kind of to round out things from my side, Threx and I were talking about this actually just before you guys got in. We actually thought from a basic mechanical standpoint that both of you were doing very well, and frankly, look forward to seeing you play again in the future as you practice and refine all that.
yeah.
Should you, of course, so desire to do so. And I think that pretty much covers anything that I had in mind to add. So, would like everybody to stop by again tonight. We have Nazgul versus Prinef playing. It's going to be best of 5. So that will be their 3rd series, and I'm going to be very, very excited to see what happens. Also, those two are like the most one-basey players I've ever seen, so be there when it starts, or you might miss the whole thing. And hope you guys have a fantastic evening.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Click.